This is our news, the weekend edition. And on the broadcast tonight, 3 more COVID-19 cases confirmed on Grand Bahama. Plus, find out just how 3 tourists got to spend the Independence holiday on the beach. And Sir Randall Fox awarded the honor of National Hero. Find out who else receives this year's National Honors Awards.
Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Andrew Knowles, and thanks so much for joining us. Grand Bahama recording 3 additional cases of COVID-19, the Ministry of Health confirming this afternoon. This now brings the island's confirmed cases to 6 this week. The newly confirmed cases are all females, 2 of which have a travel history, a 16-year-old and a 39-year-old. The other case is a 47-year-old woman with no travel history. Now all of the cases are at home in isolation. Just yesterday, a 40-year-old man of New Providence who has a travel history was confirmed positive for the virus, and he is also at home in isolation. The total number of confirmed cases in the Bahamas now stands at 111, with 11 active cases. 1 man is dead following a traffic collision on Independence Day in Exuma. Police there received a report of a traffic accident on Queens Highway in the vicinity of Tar Bay around 9 p.m. On their arrival, they found a silver Honda Civic with extensive damage after reportedly colliding into a concrete wall. On further inspection, officers discovered the male driver with severe head injuries. He was taken to the Exuma Health Clinic where he was later pronounced dead. Traffic police are continuing their investigations. Back here in the capital, an adult male is in police custody for reportedly kissing a male child. The mother of the minor told police that her son told her while they were at a party, a man forcibly held and kissed him on the mouth. Now, when the minor attempted to scream and break free, the adult reportedly covered the child's mouth and fled the scene. Acting on information, officers went to a residence in central New Providence where they arrested the male suspect. 2 managers from the Landshark Hotel and Bar were arrested last night for breach of the COVID-19 orders. Police were called to the hotel on West Bay Street where there was a large gathering of people in the area of the bar. According to reports, the crowd was dispersed and the 2 male managers on duty taken into custody. While it's not quite the vacation 3 tourists from Boston anticipated, after facing some difficulty getting here to now meeting the beaches closed, they're determined not to have anything else stand in their way. In fact, the trio jumped a locked gate fence to access Cabbage Beach on Paradise Island yesterday. They described their experience on the island so far after coming from the beach.
It's a little difficult, as you can see, we had to jump over the fence to get to the beach. So it kind of sucks a little bit.
They first told us that we had to get on a flight back to America and that we were not welcomed because of the
COVID.
The COVID test is a certain one called, what was it?
The PCA. They don't accept the antigen.
It has to be a PCR test swab, a nasal.
Yeah. Yet they require it within 7 days, so it's really difficult to get results back within 7 days.
The Prime Minister announced the closure of public beaches and parks for the Independence holiday weekend on Monday, only a week after they reopened. In defending his decision, Dr. Minnis pleaded with Bahamians and tourists to sacrifice 3 days to save the Bahamas from a second wave of COVID-19. Despite this, the tourists say they did not travel all of this way to not be able to soak up some sun.
We came here for the beach. We're gonna go to the beach.
We don't have beaches where we come from like this, so for us to not,
you guys don't know how lucky you are to have a beach like this 15 minutes away. You don't have that at all.
And the decision to close beaches is not sitting well with Pine Ridge Member of Parliament Frederick McAlpine, who said government needs to trust residents to make their own decisions. He joins the growing list of F&M MPs to speak out against the move. Berthany McDormand has the details.
Outspoken Pine Ridge MP Frederick McAlpine hitting out at the Prime Minister's decision to close beaches. According to McAlpine, the Prime Minister should have warned residents and police should have patrolled the beach to ensure COVID-19 protocols are adhered to.
To shut the beach in Nassau and Grand Bahama only to have people jump on planes to go to Eleuthera and Acklins and Exuma and other areas of the Bahamas, the archipelago, and to go on the beach. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not convinced that COVID has only been in Bimini, Grand Bahama, and Nassau. I'm one of those who, I'm not convinced. In this archipelago, I believe that we do not know who has it because we're not doing enough testing.
Recently, Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis came under fire from the opposition and members of the public who said that the competent authority is taking advantage of his power. McAlpine said there needs to be constitutional reform, charging that such power should not be put in the hands of one man.
I think that we should have, the competent authority should have a minimum of 3, a maximum of 5 persons making that decision. I don't think you should put all this power in the hands of one man. And it comes off, regardless what they say or feel. I understand what he's trying to do and I understand what the government's trying to do. But in the minds of many Bahamians, it looks more like we're on a dictatorial path. It seems people want the use of their constitutional freedom and right.
The outspoken MP added that the country should not have to be held hostage by COVID-19 and the competent authority.
If you're telling me that 60% of the GDP is reliant on tourism, then I'm suggesting that the government must find a way now to make it 50%, rather than 40%. We got to take it to at least 50% in terms of the local and national economy. And then you got to recognize there are people who cannot pay their rent, who are struggling to eat on a weekly basis, and they're being harassed, some of them even by their landlords.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
The father of labor, Sir Randall Fox, has been bestowed the nation's highest honor as a national hero posthumously. The Order of National Hero is the most senior order of the Bahamas and awarded to those who have given selfless service to the Bahamas of a most distinguished nature. Sir Randall is a former trade unionist, civil rights activist, and politician who had an important impact on the modern Bahamas and often credited for the work he did in establishing the trade union movement. He tops the list of recipients receiving this year's National Honors Awards, which was announced yesterday. Former Senate President Henry Bostwick was named as a Companion of the Order of the Bahamas, along with former Attorney General Paul Adderley and a former Speaker of the House, Sir Alvin Brennan, both awarded posthumously. Female justices Claire Hepburn, Janine Thompson, and Rhonda Bain were named as officers of the Order of the Bahamas. Businessman Frank Carruthers was awarded the Order of Excellence, conferred upon persons not being citizens of the Bahamas who have given exemplary service to the country. Meanwhile, noted psychiatrist Dr. David Allen was made an officer of the Order of Distinction, and educator Roselda Woodside a member of the Order of Merit. These awards will be presented on National Heroes Day in October. Well, still ahead tonight, more grim news on the labor front as the acting labor director foresees more job losses. And the commissioner of police to petition cabinet. We'll explain when we come back.
Are you ready to get healthy and fit? Be sure to tune in to Morning Moves with me, Bowflex Barbie, certified personal trainer and group fitness instructor. Every weekday morning at 6 and 9 a.m. and Saturday mornings at 8 and 10 a.m., you'll get to sweat with me from the privacy and comfort of your home, right here on RTV Channel 212. My workouts are fun, challenging, and designed for all fitness levels, so be sure to join me for your Morning Moves, the perfect way to start your day.
Next tonight, more job losses could be in the pipeline as companies continue to struggle during the COVID-19 pandemic, according to the Acting Director of Labor. Our Giorgio Bain reports.
Thousands are currently out of work due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and that number could increase in the coming days, according to Labor Director John Pinder, who said he was recently notified of 2 companies that have expressed interest in commencing separation exercises.
I'm hearing of 2 other companies that plan to do a similar exercise. I'm hearing one company is talking about 120 somewhere, another company is talking about 60 something. But again, those are not official as yet. Because once we get wind of it, we try to talk as best we can to the employer to ask them to take advantage of the government's extension to the deadline.
The news comes on the heels of a separation exercise at Doctors Hospital, which resulted in 43 persons being fired, citing a decline in business activity. Pinder said he expected those numbers to be higher.
Had heard, had discussions with them prior to them sending the letter off to the minister and informing me. So it wasn't a surprise. What we try as best to do, and I must commend Doctors Hospital for being kind of patient and doing the best they can to not lay persons off. So we spoke, and I have tried to advise them if they could have, see if they could place persons elsewhere. I thought the numbers would be a bit higher, to be honest with you. I thought it would have been a little higher. And so I guess the efforts showed that they were able to save a few persons.
With job security uncertain due to the pandemic, Pinder recommends that Bahamians make themselves more versatile to avoid being fired.
If you can do something else in the organization, be proactive. Approach the employer prior to them offering you any separation packages and say to them, listen man, can I work in this other area? Would you give me a chance to work over here? Or I'd like to try this, try the other. I think that's one of the ways in which we could probably reduce the amount of persons that will be receiving or offered separation packages.
Reporting for our News Weekend Edition, I'm Georgie O'Bain.
Commissioner of Police Paul Rowe says he will be petitioning Cabinet for the funds needed to train and hire more junior officers.
We still have a shortage, of course, of police officers, and making petition to Cabinet to employ some more police officers in order for us to adequately perform our tasks that we are required to do.
Rowe said the fact of the matter is the force is in need of about 300 constables in order to avoid an impending vacuum in the lower ranks.
You'll see that in my policing plan. When you take into account those officers that are to retire and those that will, if I get them, then that will kind of give us a cushion, I think, for a couple of years.
The commissioner added that a major challenge facing the force is that a number of senior officers have 2 years or less before their retirement. The requirements for retirement in the force are when officers reach age 60 or have 40 years of service. When our news, the weekend edition, comes back from the break, the Works Minister has an update on the Shantytown cleanup in Abaco. So stay with us.
Rev is making it easier and more convenient for you to pay your bill anywhere, anytime. Starting April 30th, you can complete all Rev bill payments via the MyAlive app. Simply download the MyAlive app via the App Store, click on Rev Pay Bill, input account info, and click Submit Payment. Payments made easy. Rev is committed to making your life easier and keeping you connected. Stay connected with Rev. Anytime, anywhere.
Welcome back to our news, the weekend edition. The government is following proper procedure as it relates to evicting people from shantytowns and demolishing those unregulated structures in Abaco. That's according to Works Minister Desmond Bannister, who addressed residents concerned that shantytowns are popping back up. Our Gillian Gray has that.
Responding to concerns that unregulated structures are resurfacing in Abaco, Minister of Works Desmond Bannister said his ministry cleared 3 of the 4 shantytowns on the island after Hurricane Dorian. However, while the mud, sandbank and the pea were cleared, he said they hit a snag when trying to clear the farm shantytown.
There were people living there, and so there was some legal gymnastics that were required, maneuvers were required by the Attorney General's office and other agencies of the government before we could clear that down. Now, it's very sensitive, it's a huge challenge because until such time as those court orders are in place, the Ministry of Public Works essentially has our hands tied with respect to that area.
After Hurricane Dorian wiped out several of those undocumented communities, the government sought to clear the remaining shantytowns. It imposed a 6-month ban on the construction of new buildings in shantytowns directly after that deadly storm. Back in 2018, a Supreme Court ruling blocked the demolition of shantytowns, but the government is seeking to have that injunction lifted. Nonetheless, Bannister said they have begun to follow the proper procedure to evict people living in those unregulated structures.
My officers from the ministry in Abaco have gone to every one of those new construction and affixed a notice on it. The law requires that we follow a particular process. And so we have to, the first step in that process is to put notices on the buildings. After we follow that step, then there's another step for us to follow. And you will recall that when the government did not follow these steps was where the court intervened. So we have to strictly follow the steps that the law requires. We have to ensure that we are ourselves are law-abiding, even though the persons who put the shantytown buildings are not.
Bannister questioned where migrants are getting the resources from to construct the homes and said Bahamians must look at how their actions contribute to the problem.
Who is employing undocumented aliens throughout the country, where they get resources that they can have these buildings put up throughout the country. And it's not just Abaco. It's happening in a lot of islands, and it's been happening in New Providence. And we as Bahamians, as we look forward to our independence, celebrating our independence this week, have to take a hard look at what we are doing in our own country, because at one hand, we are giving people money to be able to do things, and then the other hand, when they're putting up these buildings, we are trying to ask the government to stop it.
The Works Minister said rumors that NGOs may be giving materials to those migrants to rebuild have not come across his desk, but they will look into the claim. He added that if NGOs are not complying, action will be taken. Reporting for our News, I'm Jillian Gray.
Up next, 5 gospel bands coming together as one, creating one sound. We'll tell you all about it when we return.
Hey, but Dubs.
Hey.
Speaking of ideas, though.
Ah!
Yeah, solid idea, but.
Here we go again.
Joking, boy.
Murder? That on their passport, sir. They might have even murder.
Hey, but you start. Just gotta be a blessing, boy, because ain't nobody that stupid to come here to lose their money. Losing money.
Gina T? On your right nipple, Gina? What is this?
Don't be what this is, though.
Hey, Chrissy brothers, we gotta sing to you. Happy birthday from the Chrissy crew. We can buy one down now, and all of us can share it. I like him. He's funny. You think that funny? Bum chicky, bum chicky, bum chicky, bum chicky, bum chicky. It's a birthday, bum chicky.
A gospel showcase looking to highlight some of the best in Bahamian gospel music is set to go digital tomorrow night. Our Kyle Joaquin has more.
It's a show for all music and gospel lovers. Harmony is set up to be one spectacular showcase of 5 gospel bands, 4 in Nassau and 1 in Grand Bahama. The show's producer, Joey Butler, said despite the pandemic forcing them to go digital, they found a way to make it happen.
You know, just to show something for the independents, and just to highlight our messages for the independence show, for Independence Weekend. And so this is something, you know, for our audience to see that, you know, our Bahamian gospel musicians have talent.
While independent celebrations are a bit different this year, Butler said those who just feel the need for a live gospel music production should tune in.
It's going to be airing live on Sunday at 7 p.m. It's going to be live on Facebook page, Vision Productions, and Church Boy Production Studio. Those are the Facebook pages that it's going to be aired live. And for those who don't have a Facebook page, they can watch it live on YouTube. And they can just type Vision Productions and they can be able to watch it.
According to Butler, the event isn't just for those looking to hear good music, but aspiring musicians as well.
We have persons who are interested in learning more picking up their skills and try to become a better musician. And so they are also going to be tuning into this event as well, to try to see how they can better their craft.
Now, as for the star-studded gospel lineup,
the bands that are going to be performing is J Groove Band, you have the Red Alert Band, Transformation International Band, and then you have Church Boys Band. You have Church Boys Band and Chromatics Band. Those are the bands that are going to be highlighted in this Harmony event.
For Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.